Hey everybody, Matt Avery here with another Timer Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to be going through some refresher tips, tricks, and frequently asked questions. It is March 12th, which means we are just getting into the spring season. I know people are starting to get busy again. Figured this is a good opportunity to do a refresher of some important features that you may not be aware of, and to go over some commonly asked support questions that we get on our side from timers. It might help you get prepared for your spring season. So we're gonna get started in just a moment here. We have a few people still waiting to arrive, so just give it a minute and we'll get started. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, thanks for coming. Today we're gonna be doing a Timer Tip Tuesday, going over some common questions and some tips and tricks that we have for you on our end for race day scoring. It's springtime, so now is the chance to dust off the scoring software and get back into it. So if you haven't used GoToWebinar before, we do have a questions panel on the right-hand side. You can use that to send in any questions or comments that you have. We'll be doing a Q&A session towards the end if we have enough time. And so let's go ahead and get started. Again, thanks for joining us. Okay, so we're gonna break this up into two main sections today, tips and tricks and FAQs. So putting this together, I went through a few of the things that I think are really cool that maybe you don't know, maybe not a lot of people know about, or maybe we think you should be aware of using. So I'm gonna go over some pretty cool features that you might wanna check out. And then the FAQs that I put together for today are more just, hey, for support, if you, we get these kind of questions a lot. You know, why aren't reads coming in? Why aren't results publishing? Why are age groups not showing at RunSignup? Why won't participants or teams sync? So I'm going to go through some of the common reasons these things could happen, and also steps to help troubleshoot those issues if you do run into them. So this should give you the tools you need to get through any of those problems you happen to run into when you start scoring races again this spring. So let's get started. First, we'll go on tips and tricks. We're gonna be talking about a few different features here. Cloud backup, race file management, the new relative time filters feature, this new feature, events to sync, all sorts of different adjustment features that we have, and these HTML scroll reports that you can use with autosaves to generate custom leaderboard reports. These are really popular these days, and it kind of demonstrates how powerful race day scoring can be and how flexible it can be to set up reports that you could project onto a big leaderboard display. There's a whole lot of options there. So I'm just gonna go over that briefly, and you can play around with it some more in your free time. Okay, so cloud backups are really important. They're super critical for race day scoring. It's the best way to ensure that you have access to all of your scoring data so that you aren't at risk of losing them if your computer crashes or something goes wrong with your database. It also makes it really easy if you need to buy a new computer to transfer everything over. You just go and pick the race you want. You can restore it. You can get the scoring file from the previous year. When you renew it, you'll be able to apply that previous scoring file. This is just a great thing to use if you're not already, as a way to manage your data. You know, it's safe and secure on the RunSignup platform. You can always get it at any time. In addition to that archival purposes, you can also use this as a way to remotely deploy changes to scoring setups of a race that's ongoing. So what timers will do is, if they're having an issue on site and someone else is helping out back at the office, maybe they'll say, hey, I have an issue, I put up a backup. The person in the office can restore that backup, make the fix, whatever it was, they set the times wrong in their filters or whatever, then they can create a backup. And then the person in the field will actually be able to pull in, like we're showing here, the setup only, and apply that over top of their existing scoring file as the data is coming in. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can use this for. Definitely check it out if you haven't already done so. And then always back up your races. You know, when you start, when you submit a backup for the first time for a race, a cloud backup, it'll ask you every single time you exit the race, change your race, shut down race day scoring, if you would like to create a backup. So Keep that in mind. Your timer is not out of the field. Should be creating those final backups once they close down the software at the end of the day. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about relative time filters. So these are the settings you may or may not have seen on the scored event. So you'll see up here under the event name, there's now the setting min finish time allowed. And then down towards the start time, there's a setting called max chip start time offset. And I'll just explain what they do. So first off, if you're timing races where you have a shared location across multiple events that start or finish at different times, you may want to consider using this feature. So before this, if you have done, like, let's say a 5K, 10K at the same start-finish area, we usually would suggest that you had 2 locations with one stream connected to both of them. And the reason we did that was that you wanted to be able to have different time filters for each location, because the 5K would finish at this time of day and the 10K would finish at that time of day, and you only had one set of filters on the single location. That would allow you to be more specific about the time filters, so the 5K would have a different filter from the 10K. The same thing goes for gap factors. For 5K, you want to say, hey, there shouldn't be, for a common start finish, 2 reads that happen less than 12 minutes of each other. Same thing for the 10K, no 2 reads less than 30 minutes from each other, right? So now with this, you no longer have to create 2 different locations if you're doing that kind of setup. So now what you can do is actually say, I'm going to use one location. I'm going to have my last accepted start time be whatever for both events. So if the last is a 10K time, you would set the time of day way out so you don't, so you capture the last 10K start. And then say the 5K would be your first finish, make sure you get your first finish time. But you would be able to say in the 5K, my min finish time is 13 minutes. So that no finish times would be less than that for the 5K. And the max chip start time offset, usually we set to about a minute or 2. This is basically saying how long after the gun goes off do you want to keep considering chip starts for. Anything outside of that window is ignored. So this is great. Basically, it will make it so that after 2 minutes after the gun start for each individual participant, stop considering reads. So if you're in the 5K, it's based off of your 5K start time. If you're in a 5K with an early start, it's based off of your early start clock time. If you're in a 5K, so on and so forth. So it's really flexible. So I definitely suggest checking this out, playing around with it. It should help you a lot. I'm going to go through some of the reasons why on this slide here we think it's better than using multiple timing locations. Number 1, it's less setup. You don't have to create all the different locations, especially if you have a larger or an event with multiple different events that are using the same location. It starts to get messy with all the different locations out there. So if you can get away with it, it's really nice. Number 2, you don't have to figure out what time of day you expect people to cross locations. So you still have to set up like the initial overall for this location, consider start times until this time, start considering finish times after that time, but you don't have to figure it out on a per event basis and then go through each location and set them. So it makes things a lot easier for that purpose. Next, if your start times change, you don't have to update all of your time filters to accommodate that necessarily. So, if your start time shifts by a little bit, you don't have to worry about going through each and every single location to adjust. So that's really helpful. Finally, I think this is really nice. The raw reads view is a lot cleaner, as we don't have to show multiple instances of each read per timing location, like we do when you use a single stream in multiple locations. So if you've ever had a race that you've scored with RaceDay scoring where you have one stream tied to multiple locations and you look at the raw reads view, you'll see like one time with 4 different locations, let's say, and it'll tell you why each read at location whatever was ignored or accepted. And it gets really messy when you have a lot of them there. So I just think it helps clean things up for troubleshooting purposes a whole lot. So if you are using a mixed event location, definitely check this out. It's something that we're also going to be applying to segments in the future, where you could say, hey, for the triathlon, I've got a whole bunch of different events using the same locations, my transition readers, right? Today, you can't say, okay, the bike leg can be no less than 30 minutes. You have to create all the different locations to do that, and you have to set all those filters properly. So we're working on the ability to set this on the segment level as well, but for now, that's not here. Okay, next, we're going to be going over just a quick little feature that was nice we added recently. It's this events to sync panel in the sync settings area. So what this does, well, it helps out with these events, these races that have a bunch of different registration events that you don't care about for scoring purposes. So let's say they got a virtual event, or they have a supporter event where it's just for fundraising or something. It can cause the database and race day scoring to feel a little bit cluttered. So what this does, if you uncheck the events you don't want to consider for scoring purposes, it'll remove those events from all of the drop downs in the scoring software. It'll remove all the participants from the scoring software. So all of the menus will get a little bit, you'll not see all of the events you don't care about. You're not going to get all those participants in there you don't care about. It just helps that keeps things cleaned up. So in addition to the virtual event, supporter event scenario, it's also useful for series races. So sometimes these series races will set up a single race on RunSignup with separate events for each race day. So race 1 is an event, race 2 is an event, race 3, and so on and so forth. What timers will do in those cases is they'll score one event at a time in a race day scoring file. So they'll just score race 1. And so what they'll do is they will actually use this events to sync function to say, hey, right now in this session of this race, this version of this race, I don't care about race 2, race 3, race 4, race 5. All I care about is race 1 and maybe the series event, right? If there's a series combo. So what they do is they set up that version of the race, score it, and they back that up to the cloud and label it, race 1 final or whatever. So now they have this instance of the scoring file just with race 1, and then set up another one for race 2, race 3, race 4, race 5, and so on and so forth. So that's a really nice, convenient way to manage those kinds of events if you have that in your in the races you're working on. So check us out. It's really nice and easy. You can just uncheck or remove one of the events or add it back in. It happens right away. It's non-destructive. The participant data doesn't get destroyed. So it's really really helpful for some situations. Okay, adjustments. So these are, there's a lot of different things in adjustments that you can do. We've added some things here recently, so I wanted to just highlight them. If you click on a name in race day scoring, you'll be loaded into this scoring data view. There's this little panel down the bottom left called adjustments, which lets you adjust things on an individual basis for this participant. So critically, this first one here is really nice. It's a setting to allow pre-gun reads. So the reason why this is used is that race day scoring by default will never consider chip start times that are prior to the gun time. Now, there is a way if you wanted to say, hey, this event, I don't care. I want to give people a chip start time, even if they started way early, or if they missed their chip start read, whatever. For whatever reason, you want to say, everybody in this race, let them get a chip start way before the race starts. That's okay. Usually, that's not the case. Usually what happens is you got like 4 or 5 people who do an early start, and you just want to say those people are allowed to have an early chip start, not everybody else. So this setting allows you to go into a participant and say, hey, this person I want to allow pre-gun reads for. That will allow their chip start to be accepted, even if it's prior to their assigned gun start time. So really useful for those handful of early starters or a weird situation where you may need to override it otherwise. Read cutoff times. What this setting does is it will basically say, after this time, make sure that no more reads get considered for this participant whatsoever. So specifically, this is useful for last man standing lap events, where usually lap races, the goal is to get as many reads as you possibly can. So we keep considering reads over and over and over again for participants, no matter what. If you don't pull the chips for people after they have been dropped from the race or pulled from the race, and they're walking around the start-finish mats after a lap race is over, and they actually got pulled from the course, well, that's going to maybe continually add laps for them, and that's not going to be good. So what you can do is if you're doing the last man standing lap race and you get a report that someone has been pulled from the back of the pack, get their bib number, look them up, set the read cutoff time to right now. You can use that set to current time, and then you're good. They're not going to get any more reads even if they walk around the start finish area. So just a really useful one, specifically for the lap race one. And there may be other situations where you need to do this that we haven't thought of. Usually you don't have to worry about this for like a standard finish only race because we only pick the first time seen for everyone. So usually not a problem for standard races, but maybe there's some use case that we haven't thought of yet where this could be useful as well. Then the standard adjustments area. This is basically, hey, I want to add or subtract a certain amount of time for this participant. You would do this for a penalty, for a triathlon. You could do it for if there's a railroad crossing in a race and someone had to wait around for 2 minutes, 3 minutes for that train to go by. If you're doing a lap race, you can do distance and time adjustments. The way it works for lap races is we tack on like a final lap. Usually what happens for lap races is it's a big loop and they're doing a 24-hour run, and the very last loop, they give people partial credit. So what this does is allow you to add a set distance to each participant. So the final lap, they'll see, okay, this person did 2:04, got a quarter of the way through the final lap. Another person got a third of the way through, another person got 75% of the way through, whatever, they calculate the distance, they could add it on right here. So this is just a really good thing to know about. If you need to make a one-off change, you probably can make it happen with these adjustments. If all else fails, you can always edit a raw read for a participant to forcibly change their time if you wanted to, or add a read for someone who missed one or something like that. And the easy way to get there is on the same screen in the results panel, just click View Raw Reads. That'll bring you to the raw reads view, but filter down to just show you the raw reads for the participant you're looking at here. So on the next screen, I'm looking at, I'm looking at bib 3523. And if I click that link, I would be brought to the raw reads view, filtered down to just show me the reads for this participant. So if you wanted to, you can click the little pencil icon right there. And you can actually adjust the timestamp. If you needed to change the bib for these reads for whatever reasons, you can do that there. In addition, you can add raw reads in the raw reads panel. That's right there above it if you wanted to add something on. And yeah, pretty much anything you needed to do would be accessible from these two areas, either adjustments or editing raw reads. Okay, I think this is the final one for this section.
Just one thing I wanted to kind of highlight on the adjustments, going back to the adjustments.
Yeah.
Again, there are times when you may need to do things a little bit more in mass. Avery talked about the railroad thing. So there are ways to import adjustment records in mass for time. There's an action. And then if it's for distance adjustments, you can use the just participant import. So it's not always just the one-off situation where you may have to do some things in mass. Definitely look at the way that you can import adjustments.
Yep, so you can import adjustments. There's a, when you do the standard import and RaceDay scoring, you can use the registration ID or the RaceDay scoring participant ID as like a lookup. So you can export the database to a spreadsheet and then like add in an adjustments column and then import that back, and it will take the adjustment time that you have applied in that update. All right, so next we're going to talk about these HTML scroll reports and file autosaves and customizing reports in general, because this is kind of demonstrating a really powerful feature of RaceDay scoring, shows how flexible it can be for a lot of cool things that you can build for events. So we have this feature in RaceDay scoring to be able to autosave to files. So how we can do autosaves to RunSignup. You can also do autosaves to files. So one of the options in there is to create an HTML file. So the HTML file, you can just click it and open it in any kind of browser you want. It's really nice. It allows you to deploy this onto any kind of computer or even a tablet if you have access to the file that you're writing to. So this is really slick. There's also a way in here to enable HTML scroll and set a scroll speed and a font size. So that will allow you to create a report basically any way you want, put any of the columns you want, put any of the data you want into it, sort it whichever way you want to, put as many sections as you want into it, totally flexible, up to you how you want to make it work, and then just auto save it. So as results are coming in, that leaderboard is getting updated automatically. And if it's a scrolling leaderboard, the way it works is it gets to the bottom of the page and then updates. So any additions since the last time it updated will be applied the next time it updates. So this is really nice for a few different situations. I think it's extremely, like I said, flexible. So you can, make a scrolling list of recent finishers if you wanted to. You could create a scrolling list of the age groups showing just the top 3 per age group. You could do pretty much anything you like. I really like this feature because it can be used, HTML files can be used in any browser and any device. So what some people will do is actually point their HTML autosave to a Dropbox folder or a Google Drive folder. And then that HTML file will be synced up to your cloud syncing service. And then you could get that on a tablet or another laptop that doesn't have RaceDay scoring, a Mac, if you wanted to use that as a display computer, you could do that. And then most of these big leaderboards that you see people using on race sites these days, they work basically like a monitor. You can plug them into any kind of computer and then present or move the window over onto this secondary display or broadcast your one display on the other computer or on the other monitor, I should say. So you can have this big custom leaderboard experience for your events very easily. If you work out, exactly what you want to show in your reports, whether or not you want to scroll, the world's your oyster. You can do a whole lot of fun stuff with this. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. One of the cool features we recently added was for lap races. You can apply this new custom sort to reports to say, hey, I want to sort this report by who has crossed the most recent passing on my start finish location. Lap races, they're a long event. People are going through the checkpoint over and over again. They usually take a rest period as they are coming through the lap area. And what you could do is you could set up a report that's sorted descending by the time of day of the passing at that location, so that at the top of the report, it's going to show you who just crossed the finish location, right? So that you could display it down the trail a little bit maybe. So as a person comes through, their name's going to pop up with the amount of laps they did, maybe the time of the last lap. Maybe there's all sorts of stuff you could add into that report, but it would allow people to see, okay, I've done 10 laps and my last lap was 30 minutes. I got to keep it up. I got to go faster or whatever. There's a whole lot of cool stuff you can do with this. You can get super creative. Okay, so I'm going to move on into frequently asked questions. Before we do, I just wanted to take a quick pause to see if there were any questions we wanted to go over before I moved on.
I think the only one that we want to socialize again, obviously the ability for us to put in that relative time offset so that we don't have to do all these different timing locations is a really cool thing. And you talked about how it's going to be added to segments. And just to clarify again, this is a relative time. You're not putting in time of day. Like on timing locations, you're basically saying up to this moment. So really what this is all about is a relative time offset that we're doing. Some clarification from when the timers on that.
So it's basically saying like, hey, for the 5K, no one should do faster than 13 minutes, right? So it's not a time of day. And you'll see whenever we do something that's not time of day, there's no date involved. So in this instance, you see here, it's just a duration input. It's just a time input. That would never be a time of day thing. So if you are unsure about whether it's time of day or a duration, just know if there's no date field next to it, it's not time of day, it's duration. So think of it that way. Cool. All right, so let's go into some FAQs and troubleshooting. So, every Monday we go through all of the issues from the weekend that happened, and we get an idea of what's going wrong with people. If there are any bugs we need to fix, we get them lined up for our developers. And we see a lot of different problems that timers have and how they resolve them. So I just wanted to go through some of the common ones and some of the typical troubleshooting steps you may want to take. Again, if you do run into any issues on site using RaceDay scoring, use that get help function, send us a ticket right away, because our support team is ready and waiting to help you. And it's probably a small thing that you just missed because you're in the heat of the moment and you forgot to check a box, or you have a time set wrong, or your max chip start offset is set to 9 hours and 23 minutes instead of what it should be, a duration. So definitely do that. Don't hesitate. If you're having real problems, you can't produce results, we would never want that to happen to you. So let's go through these. Some basic stuff. Why aren't reads coming in? Why aren't results publishing? Why won't participants or teams sync? I'm getting these errors. Why are age groups not showing at RunSignup? These are the really basic ones that can throw you in a loop and make you really frustrated, so I totally understand. So let's go through some of these typical troubleshooting steps for each of these problems. So why aren't reads coming in? There's kind of two versions of this we see a lot. The first one is there's absolutely nothing coming in. That means that there's no raw data in the race. So in RaceDay scoring, there's like a raw read count in the top right, and there's a scored read counts in the locations below that. So sometimes timers say, hey, I don't have any reads, and the support person will load up the race, and they actually do have reads. It's just that those reads are not being accepted for whatever number of reasons. But what if the timer is saying, hey, I have no reads, and they load the race file and there's actually nothing in there? Well, that's a different kind of thing you need to troubleshoot. So first, it's silly. Make sure the reads indicator is green. I don't know how many times I've had to like sheepishly send a response, because we can see in the logs when you said, I want to start collecting reads, we can see the timestamp. So if I look at the log and I see they didn't start the reads this morning, I'll say, can you double check to make sure that you started the reads? And they'll say, oh no, I didn't. So just double check that. Sometimes you miss it. Just double check that reads indicator is green. The second one, ensure that your middleware is playing data through to RaceDay scoring if you're using direct, or that the file is being sent to automatically that your streams are looking at. This is like obviously specific to the chip system that you're using, but with MyLapse, you have to click play on the little files and timing and scoring. Similarly with ChronoTrack, and all of them are a little bit different, but that's just something to double check with your specific system, make sure that things are passing through. Next, check out your notifications tab in RaceDay scoring. In the top right, there's a little indicator, and it'll glow red if there's warnings or errors in there. Sometimes what you'll see is there'll be an error notification that will say something along the lines of reads were seen with point name start in brackets, but there's no stream set up to look at that. So usually that means that the point or location name in your stream is incorrectly set up. What it's saying is it's getting reads for some location or point called start, but you don't have a stream that is set up to look at that or to grab times from that location. So just double check that all of your streams have that setting correct. Again, this is different for different hardware systems, so the troubleshooting has to be kind of specific to your system. But the idea is basically double check that if you're using ChronoTrack, let's say, the point name matches the point name in your stream, and the MyLapse, your timing location name matches your timing location names in streams in RaceDay scoring. It's critical that you get those two exactly the same. They're case sensitive, so that means if it's all uppercase start, you have to make it all uppercase start on our end as well. So that's something to double check. Next, good troubleshooting step is just to stop and start the connector. Sometimes all you need to do is just stop it and start it again, and it all works out. Another thing you can try if you're doing file streaming is just if you have the connector running, move the file out and back in again. Sometimes that just triggers something and it works after that. Finally, check your firewall. We have had issues where certain firewalls will block RaceDay scoring or the RSU connector.exe process from running. So if you haven't run RaceDay scoring in a little while, definitely test it out. Sometimes Windows Update causes the Windows Defender to reanalyze which programs it decides to block. So definitely, if you haven't timed races this season, set up a quick test on that computer you're going to score with. Make sure that you can get reads through. If not, it might be worthwhile checking your firewall to see if it's blocking some applications. So let's say you do have raw reads. you can see the count in the top right, but all of them are ignored for some reason. So if you click that count of ignored reasons, it'll open up, it'll slide down, and it'll tell you why all of these reads are being ignored. There's, as you know, maybe know, a lot of different reasons why raw reads could be ignored in RaceDay scoring. The common ones when it happens like in mass where nothing is being accepted is, the first one is unknown. Everything is unknown. So that's a big problem. It means that, either you don't have participants, maybe you're doing a local race and you forgot to import the participant data. It's a possibility. More commonly, what happens is you have maybe like one chip cross-reference, but it doesn't cover all of your participants. So sometimes, it happens where someone accidentally enters a bib chip cross-reference. And what we do is, if you have at least one bib chip cross-reference, we switch over and we say, okay, now everyone has to have a bib chip record. So if you only have one and it doesn't match anyone in your database, you're not going to get any chip reads that come through. So just taking that into consideration. So I would just double check that your bib chip file is correct. That would be the first thing I would do. So definitely check that out. Another one that's common is filtered by time. If everything is being filtered by time, chances are you got your timing locations filters set incorrectly. A lot of times what happens is people may put the wrong date in there and all of the read dates are wrong. Another thing that could happen is they accidentally enabled the setting on the streams to change the read dates to some other day. Maybe they're using it for testing purposes a few days prior, but they forgot to reset it for the actual race day. So all of the reads are showing up like 2 days before the actual race. So they're saying, hey, these aren't being filtered by time. They probably would show as before their start time is going off, but you know what I mean. So double check your timing location filters and also the actual read data to see what date and what time is going on in your raw reads compared to the date and time on your timing locations. If something doesn't look right, you got to investigate that further. Similarly, like, hey, if you've got an error saying, or an ignored reason before min finish time allowed, double check that you didn't set the duration for your min finish time to be like time of day, because if you enter like 9:23 because you thought it was a time of day, it's going to say, well, no one's done the 5K in greater than 9 hours and 23 minutes or whatever. So those are all going to get ignored. So definitely be careful with that. Now, another common thing that could happen is, you're getting some reads, but not the right ones. Let's say you're timing a race and you have only start times, no finish times. Even though you think you got things set up correctly, something weird has happened. You only start times for everyone. It looks like their finish times are being put into the start time area. Number one, check that you have a consider start times until time set or a max chip start time offset set. So what will happen sometimes I see is people forget to set the collect start times until setting in their start location. And then what will happen is we're just going to keep accepting reads in this location because the latest time read wins for start times. So that means that if you're doing like a common, like a one stream to separate start finish, it'll just keep considering start times because the later the better. So we show a warning on the dashboard if you don't have a consider start times until time set. So definitely make sure you do that because it's just going to keep considering start times until forever if you don't. So that's going to make it such that you only get start times. Second one, make sure that your finish occurrence is correct in scored events. I see this every once in a while where people will, they're doing a 2-lap or a 3-lap race where it finishes on the second or third occurrence, but they leave the default on the finish location for the scored event, so it's not correct. So that's something that can cause problems as well. Just double check your finish occurrences to make sure you got the right one for this race. Okay, let's talk about RunSignup results. So why aren't results at RunSignup? Again, silly one, but sometimes it happens. Make sure the autosaves are set up and that the indicator is green. So number one, remember, we don't push results unless you set things up and tell us to start publishing because we don't want test results to go up to RunSignup automatically. So when you get on site, you have to make sure you have a process ready. Maybe, I'm not sure. Some people set up the autosaves in advance and then just the timers in field, all they do is click the button to start them. Or they have the timers in the field set up everything on site. Kind of up to you and your process, but make sure that the autosaves are set up. The indicator on the top for autosaves is green. Next, check RunSignup results to see if there are multiple result sets for this event. Every once in a while, we'll see as a timer will say, hey, why aren't my results populating? And the support person will say, well, they are populating, but it's on like the second result set for this event on RunSignup. There is another one out there that's the default and no results are going to it, but you're not publishing to that result set. You're publishing to this other result set. So sometimes something weird happens. You ended up creating 2 result sets at RunSignup, and the one you're posting to isn't the default. And so it looks like if you load the result page, there's no results. That happens every once in a while. So you got to learn how to do this, how to manage the result sets to clean things up. So if you just go to in RaceDay scoring, there's like the race name in the green toolbar. Click that race name and it brings up a few helpful links. One of them being the manage result sets link. This will show you a list of all the result sets for this race on RunSignup, and it'll show you the number of finishers in each result set. So you could really easily see, hey, there's 500 results for this one result set and 0 for this other result set. So just delete that 0 result set and you'll be all set. So that happens every once in a while. It's just a really good troubleshooting step that is helpful to know how to do. Finally, check the notifications tab again for any errors about syncing or duplicates or whatever. RunSignup has a pretty hard restriction. If a participant is not able to be synced for whatever reason, they're a duplicate, they have an invalid zip code or email, RunSignup will not allow us to post results for them. It's a hard restriction, unfortunately. So you have to make sure that you clean up that participant data so we can get the result posted for them. So what will happen is we'll actually like skip over a result if we can't post against it. So you'll see in the results on RunSignup, it goes positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7. And there should be in your notifications tab an explanation as to why that person will not sync to RunSignup. So that leads into the next section pretty nicely. Why isn't that participant syncing to RunSignup? What the heck's going on? So there's this pending syncs area is really helpful. It's gonna list out any items that we're not able to sync to RunSignup for whatever reason. So like a change that happened that is not able to sync, if it gets stuck in here, that's probably what the problem is. And usually all it takes is going into the sync area, selecting the pending sync queue, deleting any records that are in there, and then saving the sync settings and trying again. Usually that gets you through the problem. So it's hard to say exactly what causes the problem. Most of the time it's usually a variety of random things, but usually this in terms of troubleshooting gets you through the day. So just go into show sync queue. If you see a little count in the top right of that show sync queue button, that means there's something stuck in there. Go in there, delete it, and it should get you straight. Another situation that can happen is you have duplicated participants for one reason or another. So this can happen if you add participants offline and then at the same time someone registered on RunSignup with the same name and bib number, and that syncs back down into RaceDay scoring. And now you have 2 participants with the same info, same bib number. This can cause problems with RunSignup because it's going to say, hey, I don't want to create duplicates, so I'm not going to let you push this other record up that you entered manually. That's going to cause problems. So you'll see on the participant list, there'll be a little triangle with an exclamation point, and that will let you know that this participant has a sync error. And you can go in, you can actually check a box to say, show me only participants with a sync error or whatever, so you can see on your participant list what's going on. Most common thing to do, troubleshooting step here, is this merge duplicates. So this is a new feature that will allow you to merge together 2 different records really easily. You used to have to figure out which record you wanted to keep and which one you wanted to delete, and move the bib over if you wanted to keep the bib from one but not the other, and it was really tricky. So we added this feature under participants, actions, merge duplicate participants. It'll list out all the different duplicates you have in the database for this race, and it lets you pick which fields you want to keep. And so basically you check one of the registrations. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess the original registration on RunSignup is probably the one you want. And then you pick which bib number or which address you want to keep. And then it merges those two together and it deletes the other one. So it'll let that sync go through. So you'll no longer get an issue or a notification saying, hey, you have duplicate participants, go look into it. So this is a really nice feature. If you do happen to run into it, just know it's there. It doesn't happen a lot, but if it does, you need to know how to solve it. Okay, next one. Why are there no age groups at RunSignup? This one comes up every once in a while once people start learning how to manipulate their reports and set up cool custom stuff. So when we publish results to RunSignup, we use this age place column. This is, it's like your top finisher placement and your age group placement. We use this to populate the divisions at RunSignup. So we create the divisions and we put their placements from RaceDay scoring using the data from this column. So if you set up a report to autosave to RunSignup that doesn't have this field, well, we don't create it. We don't know the data because we don't have it in the report. So usually when someone has an issue, comes in, they say, hey, divisions aren't going to RunSignup. What's going on? First thing we check, go to the report that's auto-saving, and there's no age place field. So all you have to do is add that age place field in, and then you have to go into your auto-saves and save it again, and that will create the divisions and publish the results to them. So this is just a good to know. That age place field is a requirement if you want divisions to show at RunSignup. All right, so that's all the stuff that I had for today. I do have some time to go through some questions. I had one person send some questions beforehand, but if there are any others that you have, go ahead and type them in now. And James, I'm just going to go through the ones that I got beforehand, and then if you wanted to filter through the ones that we get, I'll go through those after.
Okay, just a couple things from the chat that's been going on. One is, again, as you covered, knowing the result sets that are out there and being able to look at your autosave settings and see that result set ID and then being able to see it out at RunSignup. Right now, you really need to be looking at that stuff. And as Avery said, use your dashboard link to go to manage your result sets. One of the things we just wanted to share with you, we realize that this ability of timers to really see all this and control all this is very important. So we're actually working on a new management area within RaceDay scoring where you'll be able to see all the result sets that are out there and just kind of manage it right from RaceDay scoring to make that transition a little bit easier for you. So just wanted to kind of mention that.
Yep, for sure.
The other thing is, again, a lot of work went into Filter 4.0, which came out in the fall. One of the things that we really fixed was that whole case sensitive thing on the point name that Avery talked about. So, again, it's always good practice to just be very detailed as a timer and make sure you type things the same way. But we did fix that in Filter 4.0, so, that shouldn't be an issue anymore.
Cool.
Yep,
all
that's
right.
all I have.
Yep. I'm going to go through some of these questions, just some good ones that were sent in. So they were asking, is there a way to create a randomized list of participants to be used as like a door prize list? Yeah, so we have a way to do this. It's actually done through a sort. So in RaceDay scoring, you can create a report and call it door prizes. You can add in your, 10K if you wanted to do it that way. And then select your override sort to be random. This just sorts the participants randomly. So I've just got a totally random report list here. So what you could do is you could edit this. You don't want to show results or whatever, that's fine. And you can make it so it just shows one. So you just get one. And what's cool is like this will randomize, I think, each time. So when you click it again, it will change. So this is a little bit Elizabeth Kyler. Oh, no, it is Sam, sorry. So you'd have to create another one, I guess, to randomize it again. But what you could do is have a bunch and then check them off once you've given them prizes. So that's how we handle the randomized functionality. Next one, are most people sorting results by gun time or chip time in scored events? This totally varies. And I find it varies region to region. Even within regions, race directors argue about which is more correct. I don't think there's one answer to this question. It totally depends on if it's like a really competitive event. Usually they want things sorted by gun time. But you know, it's changing over the years. More people, I think, these days do everything by chip time. It totally depends. I think sometimes it can get unfair if you're doing like awards for age groups by chip time, because you may know, let's say a small town race, you may know who's in your age group. And if there's a really long chip start offset, like someone shows up super late, I didn't know they showed up late and I'm trying to beat them. Well, I should be able to just cross them beat them at the finish line and know that I beat them. But if they started way ahead of me or way behind me, and they still ran up to me, that would be unfair, basically. So it's hard to say. I don't know. I can't really give a good answer one way or another. What is the most common setup when start and finish are in the same location? So typically you'd want to do a common start finish with this kind of situation. So we default in a start and finish separately in RaceDay scoring, but you can just delete those before you even get started and create a new location that's common start finish if you are doing that. We just ship it out with a separate start finish because we have to put something in there. But definitely, if you have a common start finish location, go ahead and convert the finish to a common start finish or delete them and create a new one. Kind of up to you. But I would say if you are doing actually common start finish, put them all in one location. It's just a little bit easier to manage. And they're also asking, if you are using a gun start only, do you need to set up a start stream? No, you don't. So in RaceDay scoring, you can just say, instead of a start, you can just say it's not a timed start, so I don't care about it. That's what you would want to do if you were doing a gun finish only. So you don't have to keep the default setup here. Keep that in mind. We put timing locations in for you by default, but it's up to you. You can change it up. You can do whatever you want. So definitely don't feel locked into creating a start stream if you aren't timing the start. All right, so let's see if there's anything else in here before we sign off for the day.
So I was answering about kiosk hardware and all that. Again, this really, the hardware that you choose as a timer come down to so many different, characterizations in terms of your budget. If you buy tablets, you're going to get a much better experience than maybe like a Chromebook sometimes, but then you got to think about kiosk holders and things like that. So the price point kind of goes up for that kind of experience. Chromebooks are really great, definitely very cheap. You can get them and use those as your result kiosks. You don't have to think about kiosk holders and all that. But any other thoughts on all that, Avery?
It's hard. I don't have any specific hardware recommendations usually on this kind of stuff because we don't have the ability to buy all the different hardware out there and test it out. So it's hard for me to say recommend one or the other, to be honest.
Yeah. And the good thing about the Chromebooks now is that, again, make sure you buy the right kind of Chromebook that can actually run Android apps on them. So therefore, you can double purpose it for the check-in app and also our results kiosk, which runs through the check-in. So just make sure you buy a Chromebook that has the Google Play Store and everything on it.
Exactly. And I think Google has a list of supported devices out there for Android Store. So just run a quick Google and find all the Chromebooks that support App Store, and you should be good. All right, I think that's everything for today. Thanks again for joining us for another Timer Tip Tuesday, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Brian said to like and subscribe.